Body filler over bare metal? The age-old question. I put it to the test 20 years ago and just didn't know it. Stay tuned. So, a real-world 23-year industry test. 23 years ago, this car was painted and body filler was applied over bare steel. Are they issues? Will we find any? Did I find any? Well, let's take a closer look. So what we have here, going by photos I took of this car at just the right time, 23 years ago, as basically a child, I could see exactly where all the body filler was put on this car, as they did not strip from the body line down. The white paint you see here and the gray and the black is all factory paint, lacquer based paint, some type of sealer and EDP primers or whatever they used at that time in 1970. But the car had some dings and slight issues. So it was stripped and body filler was put over this bare steel. Was there any issues? Was there any bubbling? No. There was nothing wrong with this paint when I stripped it. Most people would have said, what in the world are you doing? But it was time for a freshen up, so I decided to redo the car. And once I seen, instead of just doing a scuff and shoot, I seen the car was never stripped. I said, I'm going to strip it, and I'm going to start from the ground up. This is a car I'm always going to keep, so let's just do it right. But what I discovered was a 23-year real-world test. The age-old fuss. Body filler over bare steel or body filler over epoxy primer. And again, I'm going to show you the multiple areas on this car, and then I'm going to give you the verdict. In my opinion, this ends the debate once and for all as a real-world 20-plus year test. So we come around here to the other side. Again, more body filler on bare metal. This gold is a sealer of some sort that was used. This would have been in the early 2000s. I believe the shop used Spies Hecker, so I don't know what that stuff was, but it held up rather well over the original lacquer paint from here down. So the process they used worked. Again, more body filler over bare steel. I do not agree with this heavy etching of the metal. Body filler will stick plenty good to 180 or even finer grits sometimes. Usually try to at least scuff it with 180, but a lot of gouging of the steel unnecessarily there. But again, that's not the subject of this video. Do we see any issues? So we come to the roof and the paint was cracking here. Why was it cracking? Was it the body filler over the bare metal? No. It was the factory seam sealer starting to split away from the seam. So, what's the verdict? What do? I put body filler over epoxy primer, and I'm going to continue to do it that way. But can I look at someone and say, with real-world proof, that properly prepped steel with properly mixed and spread body filler over that properly prepped steel is going to cause problems? The answer is no. And in this real-world test here, 23 years worth, I think this should end the debate. Another thing that I want to add is once you epoxy primer a car and you spread filler over the said epoxy primer, when you're working it for the first time, you're going to encounter bare metal spots. Are you going to go back and add more epoxy and then put more filler? No, you're going to add more filler and keep going. Well, there's going to be, in certain situations, a little bit of filler, especially usually on the edges or wherever, that's over some bare metal. So what do? You don't worry about it. The debate is over. Body filler over properly prepped steel will last at least 23 years. One variable I wanted to mention: never let your body filler get wet. The subject of this video was not if something screws up, which one is better. The subject of this video was simply what will work and what will not work. But I figured I would add this oopsie part of the video, is if you let body filler get wet and you don't realize it got wet, the epoxy primer will save your rear end from that metal starting to corrode underneath. And I have seen a situation not too long ago where a truck was left out in the rain. Nobody caught it. They painted it, and in literally weeks, the paint was just blistering everywhere. So do not ever let your body filler get wet. I found that out when I was like 15, bondoing a firewall on my hot rod car, and that stuff is cracking everywhere now. And it didn't take long for it to do it. So never let your body filler get wet. But again, I want to reiterate, the subject of this video was not if something goes wrong or you screw up. It's properly prepped steel over the proper use of body filler. It will not give any trouble over bare steel. There's always those variables, so be careful of that. And that's another reason why I like to use epoxy primer under my body filler at all times. But for the subject of this video, the debate is over, in my opinion. Again, over properly prepped steel, body filler will give no problems with proper use of materials from there on. So take this what you will take. Again, and I want to reiterate this, on my customer cars and my personal cars, I use epoxy primer first and then put body filler. And I think that's the better way to do it. But I cannot, with proof, after seeing this, say that that will last any longer than what this car lasted. So I hope this helps. With that being said, thanks for watching. If you hadn't hit the subscribe button, please do so. Thank you for all the subscribers, all the watch time, restoration inquiries in the video description, and we'll see y'all next time.